Okay, good morning. We're going live at 5 again. It's a nice Sydney morning. I've come back from 3-week holidays last week. We've hit the spring season, so it's been quite nice. My first opponent here is Opal Wezen. We have a Crazyhouse Weekly 24, and the time limit is 3+2. So good luck to all players. Hope you enjoy the stream. Today I'm going to be looking to play possibly a little bit more recklessly, is one way to put it. I'm going to be a bit liberal with how I choose to berserk games. I'll be open to probably taking on a few more losses. So I'll berserk this first game my opponent has as well. But I'll be looking to be quite aggressive. Just trying something different. Okay, so this whole game so far has been fairly new for both players, I think. I'm putting a pawn here just to block off the attacks. My position is getting a little bit passive. Opal Wezen's done quite well. I'm making a trade here to try to pick up this. He's not allowed it. So he's running short of time. He spent a lot of time in the opening, which is a bit unusual. Probably just trying to figure it out. E6 was important just to cover off the D7 square with a bit of defense. Yeah, so he's run out of time. So a little bit unusual there. Okay, can the audience hear me clearly? We just had some audio issues last week, so I just want to check that that seems alright. If it doesn't seem alright, please give me some feedback. I'm just trying out some things from my end. Okay, so I'm up against Dolly Narches here. Not sure if that's pronounced right. Apologies if it isn't. Okay, so this is already a bit of a new position to me, but the structure is familiar. White has a pawn chain here, black has an open line here. What I'm looking to do in this position is consolidate by attacking this piece, which is not well supported at the moment. That's the only piece that's in my half. I can't yet just blow up my opponent, so I'm attacking this. Pawn at e4 is a possibility here. That's fine. I'm going to capture and try to open up this line with knight g5. So yeah, it's been a busy week for me. Back at work this week, catching up on 3 weeks of being away. So I haven't had too many opportunities to play this week. I'll be keen to put in a good stream, keen to play well. So we'll see how it goes. So yeah, Hercules is saying that the sound is better than usual. So that's a good start. Thanks for the feedback. Appreciate that. Okay. Yeah, I'm actually going to sack here and play pawn at e4. So that's to open up this pin. Knight at e4 is a possibility. I want to put that on. Another good move may have actually just simply been pawn at b7. It's, instead of just knight takes f7 sack. It's not really necessary. I forgot that I was leaving a gap out there. This might be a little bit more direct on the king, but pawn at b7 is winning some material pretty cleanly. So I'll go this time. And now I'm looking at ways of checking the king and making use of the rook after it's been captured as well. So knight at g5 is looking like a penetration point towards attacking. I'm going to grab that. I don't know if taking the rook immediately is... Yeah, it's alright. We'll take the rook. And so I've got to be careful that something doesn't happen here, of course. We'll take this. So I'm now threatening mate with bishop at f7 and pawn at g7. So after knight f5, I'm seeing if there's a direct mate, but I could just take the rook. When knight f5 is played, then it defends g7, which stops all the mates. But yeah, White's already got a clear advantage here with initiative. Okay, so there's a discovery check happening here, but I can block it. Okay, so I've now got a couple more pieces in hand. Let's try to find the right finish. My real danger is time, actually. I need to just motor. Alright, I should actually capture this and play the checks. So I'm thinking like bishop e7, king g7, f6, king f7, knight at g5, king e8, pawn at e7 is the way to finish. Alright, we've got the mate there. So 12-10 and Penguin IM have shot up quite quickly. Got a quick couple wins. I've just hit 6, so I've got the multiplier. I want to try to make a good start this morning. I normally start a bit slower, and I'm playing catch up in the later stages. So what I'm hoping to do this week is lead from the front if possible. Okay, Rufi is a new player here. I'm not familiar with this opponent. So without actually putting a whole heap of pressure on myself this morning, I'm looking to, yeah, probably Berserk more. I think the time pressure will naturally put some pressure on, so I'm not going to try to push myself harder than that. So I want to be playing a fast game, but also not pushing too hard, so I can leave something in the tank towards the end of the event. Okay, so new opening position for me here. Black spent a few moves trading off the bishop. I've played c3 quite early just to give some support in the middle. Now just putting a bit of pressure on this. I'm not really actually thinking about taking it just yet. It's probably not too bad. After this move though, I'm a bit more inclined to take it. I'm actually going to leave it. I'll capture this first. There's just a knight at d3 check, which is possible. Not too much to be concerned about. But what I'd probably like to do is, if he doesn't move the knight, capture it after a recapture, play knight at e5, as he has captured, so it is a little bit dangerous for him. There's bishop f7, capture, queen takes, and then knight at g5 looks near mating. So I'm going to go for this. I'm going to capture this knight first just to get more pieces in the armory. But if king takes here, I'm confident knight at g5 will mate. If the king starts running, I'll harass it with bishop takes e6. And that is just to stop him from getting back to c8. Now knight at f4, knight at g5. I think it's fairly trivial, either should mate. If the king comes here, I've got to cut off c5. Yeah, so I'm going to do that by playing pawn at c4. If king across, queen at b4 mates. If king c4, queen at b3. So in that case, I think black's left a queen trade in the opening too early, and that's left f7 open at the same time. So it's just a tactical point there. So we've got 12-teen, Penguin, IM, Nimrod. Nimrod's a new player to me, so we're doing a double Berserk here. Alright, so this is fairly standard d4, d5. He's just covered off c2, which is wise. And I've got some natural development with the trades. Okay, so I'm going to sack a piece for 2 pawns here just to undermine the center, but also get some tempo to go with it. And now I'm keen to hit the light squares as much as I can. Alright, I don't mind picking up a knight here. So with this position now, I'm going to push a bit aggressively. Let's keep the king out of that side. There's some tactics now. So while he's got a lot of pieces here, I should just keep hitting him as hard as I can on the king side. So it's pretty tough here. I mean, I've got such a dense fortress around my king. I can just keep affording to hit and attack him. So let's hit with pawn at c2. Alright, so I've got a decent start, so out of the blocks, berserking 4 games, got 4 wins. Let's try to keep it going. Okay, GM, Gatas. Okay, we've got a Caracan type opening. Against a Sicilian or Caracan, I like to try to really harass the opponent on the c7 square. Pawn at d6 is a slight inaccuracy. I think it allows the knight to come to d5. And then trading off a knight to put here would be nice. Sometimes pawn at c7 can also be dangerous. Yeah, I think I'll go this way. So fairly clean material advantage here. There's a few checks to dodge, but yeah, but we just need to see how we can penetrate the dark squares. I'm happy to just pick up the queen here. Alright, I'm really out of the box a lot faster than usual. Just a question from the chat room on Leechess. Stathanatos is asked, "Hi JannLee, what program do you use to stream?" I'm using OBS to stream. Not because I've tried a whole heap, but just because that's the first one that was introduced to me, and I've tried it and it seems to work, so I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, 12-10. To give you an idea of how reckless I'm being today, I'm even going to try to just berserk 12-10. Alright, he's coming along for the ride. So for us, a minute and a half each is plenty of time actually to get a game done. We're both familiar with playing at the 1 minute time limits. Okay, so he's pushed a few pawns on either side here. I'm playing queen e1 to activate the queen this side. And then bishop g5 just to cover off h4. So it should be interesting. He's done a sack here. I don't know if he's playing knight h5 or... Yeah, I don't think it wins anything. He just loses a pawn. So in our matches, you know, we played a bunch of matches. If you've been looking at the channel, you'll be familiar with 12-10. He plays very well, but every pawn counts in our matches, as it should in anyone's games. But I mean, particularly so for us. Okay. I'm going to bring my king across just to get out the way out of this pin. Now, I don't have to make a huge amount of trades here. It's actually preferable to make fewer trades. His pieces are a little bit disorganized, so I don't want to trade things and make his pieces useful. Here I'm looking at pawn at e7, so I want to get that on. Okay. Okay, he's trying to get active here. Now if the king comes to h7, I'm going to sack my queen, make a practical decision, because bishop at f5 will be a threat. He's made a sack. He's probably trying to plan something on g3. So there'll be some tricks with knight at g3 potentially. I'm just going to hack at his king straight away. I need to move on his king before he moves on mine. So I've got too many covers on g3. I'm threatening his king before he gets close to mine. So I'm confident white's better here. It's a bit of desperation. He's throwing his pieces on the board. Alright, that's an important match early. 12-10 is usually a strong competitor in the event. He's a little bit slow to get out of the blocks. I think Upper Wesson took a match from him as well. Yeah, so he's played 3 strong opponents and taken 3 losses quite early. But where's Upper Wesson gone? Penguin and Upper Wesson must also be challenging each other. Alright, Daniel Deemer. Okay, this is quite an aggressive line from white. I feel like I have to meet it with open aggression. This is a popular choice for an aggressive attacking player. I think if black plays passively, the sacrifice on e4 of his pawn is justified. So I try to meet it with ensuring that black has open lines to attack white's king quite quickly as well. So yeah, a comment was made on my channel by Smash during the week saying, oh, it looks like you played quite well in the second half. I deliberately played more recklessly and aggressively in the second half last week's event. And so they were saying, oh, why don't you try that from the beginning? And there's a comment that came up saying, looks like it's working out. Okay, I've put myself in a situation I didn't want to. I've been forked here. I'm actually going to part with the queen just to hold all my structure together, which isn't what I wanted to do early. Given I've already got a time deficit, I'm now forcing myself to play a little bit more accurately as well. So I'm going to follow with the execution I was talking about, and that we attack on the king's side. So you'll find that I'm quite liberal with my queen and open to sacrifices occasionally. In Crazyhouse, it's a little more acceptable to sacrifice the queen in close positions, where you've got a lot of minor pieces that might be able to coordinate on your opponent's end quite quickly. So with my opponent having a few pieces in hand, I want to try to attack before the defense around my king, which is pretty solid at the moment, dissipates. So I already have a mate threat here. White doesn't have any checks around my king, so I am getting some initiative back. Okay, that looks very dangerous from so if I capture the knight at g7 is open. I'm here just calculating if I'm actually in trouble at the home side. Knight at b7. No, I feel like this is a safer way of proceeding. So I'm just concerned knight takes f3 might have some dangers. It may not, but I've got limited time to make these decisions. So my plan is to play rook g8 first, which is attacking with tempo, but it covers this important square g7, which is the only real hole. The only real hole in my defense at the moment. And so now I can continue attacking without too much concern about being attacked on my side. So I've now recovered the queen, got a very strong attack. Black's looking much stronger here. If he takes, pawn at g2 will force the queens to come off. Queen at e6 and bishop takes just blocks off this line from any checks. And yep, we've got a result there. So yeah, made a bit of an inaccuracy losing the queen early there, but that was a good recovery. Pardon me, sorry. Atrophied's in the channel. Hi Atrophied, a fellow streamer. You should also check out Atrophied's channel if you haven't yet. So a bit of a plug for his channel too. Atrophied's been doing this longer on Lee Chess than I have. He's been doing it since December. Okay, Mathais. Now, me berserking the likes of Mathais 12T has nothing to do with the strength of the players. I really shouldn't be berserking them. I'm just riding the wave at the moment. I actually just wish this cough I've had for a couple of weeks would go away. It doesn't feel awful. It's just a tickle in the throat. Okay, what's going on here? Yeah, I'll hit early with knight at f5. So I've got to use my time well here. I can't just dawdle about. Mathais is a very good player. I find each time I come up against Mathais, he's got a little bit more study up his sleeve on the opening, I feel, and I have the need to try to be creative to create something new to get him off track. So yeah, I'm also not exactly sure best ways to proceed here, but I put a knight on f5 threading here. I'm basically saying you should take the knight, and I'm going to get my pawn on f5. If a move like knight at h4 follows, I've got bishop at h3. And then I'm looking to play on light square weaknesses, and I'm trying to get some pieces in his half before he gets pieces in mine. I'm not really too concerned about this pawn in my half because I'm looking at castle and king side. What I'd be more concerned about is coordination of knights on these squares. So I've got a bishop covering here. If he chooses c6, I'm going to take an aggressive option. But yeah, it's a fairly balanced position here. It's playable for both sides. Maybe there's a slight edge for white with a couple pieces closer to black's king. But that's all very positional. It's not decisive. Atrophied says he's ill at the moment as well. That's why he's not playing this one. Alright, so he's played rook f8. I'm keen to get into the king side ASAP. I would have preferred castles for black. Yeah, here I'm even just going to grab b7. Now with limited material in hand, I'm just here trying to constrict black. So even bishop at b5 here is basically acknowledging he doesn't have many blockers. So in removing b7, the pressure mounts because it weakens c6 and d7. So after castles, it changes everything because of the location of his king. Oh goodness, thought I was doing all right for the first half hour without a cough, but not so much. All right, double berserk again. So d3 played. So I'm gonna play a fianchetto here. So yeah, I was saying, Atrophied was saying he wasn't well, so he said that's why he's not playing, and he's just sitting back and watching this week. So good to have you here, Atrophied. Atrophied and I have done a number of dual stream matches, which has been quite interesting. I've also quite enjoyed just reviewing some of those matches afterwards. I think the nice thing about that is you can see clearly where a couple of players that are familiar with the game tend to agree on certain positions and where they don't. So, yeah, in a dual stream, we can't hear each other, so you get the independent opinion of both of us. If you go to either of our channels and look for either dual commentary or look for one of my matches against Atrophied, you'll be able to find the links. Okay, so my king's a little bit under attack here. I'm putting knight on f4 on to cover g6. I don't really like how I've harassed the queen so far because I was looking to obtain some sort of advantage from it, but I don't feel I've done that. Right now, though, I've got some tricky tactics with bishop f2, which is forking the king and queen. And if either recapture is done, knight d3 will win the queen. Oh, sorry, it won't just win the queen. It'll attack it in a favourable way for myself. So what's going on here? Now I play pawn h4. Okay, I'm gonna use a different tactic here on this fork to win some material. Possibly even mate if he allows it. Yeah, I was just maximising my checks there before capturing the queen on h4. And that knight on h4 was going to serve as an important defensive piece on g6 as well. Yeah, Smash has just acknowledged pawn at h4. I wasn't looking at the chat, but he might have found it before I did. Good find, Smash. Alright, I'll Berserk again, so I'll continue on this. So 12 teams now catching it up. He's now got 30 points. Okay, against Sarai Lopez, I sometimes like to do this. Yeah, how should we go here? Let's go this way. So knight at e5, covering f7, but also starting a blockade on e5. So this should be playable for either side. There's nothing really decisive here yet. Okay, I'm gonna maybe c5 is better. I'm just gonna hold on to this. It's all balanced at the moment. The only thing that's not balanced is the clock, so I need to make some moves there. So okay, White's got a fairly safe king. Yeah, not too much going on the way of initiative just yet, but I need to generate it quite quickly. Alright, so I want to build up for stuff to happen on this side of the board. With only a minute on the clock, if I don't get myself into a position soon where I've got some initiative, I'm going to be a little bit nervous about what I'm able to do in such a short period of time. The sneaky thing I'm actually doing here is actually not on the king side, it's actually bishop at b4, which is the start to winning some material, because I feel this knight's a little bit displaced. That's not going to happen after this move. So I have to cover e5, so I'm covering it this way. I'm not concerned about knight at h6. fact, I'm going to try to pick off some material. Alright, so I'm just going to go absolute direct hit here. I don't have enough to make the king yet, but the prospect of capturing f2 with a very safe king is too good. If he plays knight at h3 to block, bishop takes h3 is very dangerous. Even bishop takes h3 here is very dangerous, but I think I'm going to grab f2 first. That's a little bit more accurate. Really makes a weakness on g3 and makes a threat there. Bishop at g3 is no good. I can just capture it and then play queen at f4. The only difference was if I play bishop takes h3, he can play bishop at g3, and the apparent discovered check is not working because he can capture it. So I just feel this is a bit more direct. So Danny Walker's in the channel again. Good to see you, Danny Walker. Thanks for joining each week. Thanks also for the generous comment on my Lichess coach page. So for those of you who don't know, Lichess has recently released a feature that allows you to review a number of coaches on the site. I'm open to maybe taking students in Crazyhouse in the future, but not at the moment. So I'm set to not accepting students. But if you'd like to check out my profile, a little bit about my personal history, please have a look there. Some players have posted some very nice reviews, so I just wanted to thank them on the channel. So Danny, thanks for your generous compliment over there. Yeah, a few people saying, oh, Smash is better than JannLee because he's found things faster than I have. Okay, I should have mate here, so queen at h2 and queen at f4 is fairly direct. Okay, so I keep rolling on. So I'll just, yeah, this seldom happens to me. I've berserked every game from the start this morning and just won everything. Joe Xiazek has pointed out, I think pawn at g3 is mate. Atrophied has, Smash has, just about everyone has except me. So instead of queen takes f2, pawn at g3 was a more direct mate. So that's an improvement. Thanks, guys. Okay, double berserk. So I really feel like people are being nice when I'm berserking. They're just kind of obliging and berserking as well. Either that or they figure that they may as well berserk. So here I'm looking at pawn at c7. Yeah, I'm actually dropping a pawn here. I should have taken this. Playing a little bit too quickly. Yeah. It's not all bad, f7's hanging. So yeah, I'm not playing the ideal moves here, but getting by. My plan here is to either just keep attacking very aggressively or consolidate with the likes of bishop d3 castles. I mean, the king's very solid here already. I should really probably try to attack. Yeah, I've got to cover c2. Yeah, the bishop isn't doing anything on its own. I think black's doing just fine here. I don't like this gap on c3 because it's a way for black to get in, so I'm just harassing the queen first. Oh, he's done a queen trade. Not queen trade, he's rather sacked it for 2 pieces. I think the fact that I have the rook there makes it a little bit unattractive, this sacrifice. Yeah, I'm just going to try to grab material. I'm going to undermine that defender and grab b8. Putting another piece towards here. Yeah, I'm just going to attack his king, harass him as much as I can. So f7 is now a threat. So he's short on time as well. But yeah, I was pulling things the nearest king apart. Okay, Armin Darmanyan. Okay, I'm not familiar with this player. D3, so I'll come in with D5. Alright, if he's going to defend Shadow, I'll have a go as well. So normally, I've seen it more often played with D6 or D3, but there's nothing wrong with playing this Fiend Shadow either this way. Oh, I should have defended that with Bishop C8. I'll let Bishop B7 out there. Yeah, so I'm a pawn up here. I've just consolidated a bit. I'm looking to increase my lead somehow, but also not open up things too quickly, or else things could head south on my king. So yeah, pawn at h3 seems logical. f5 is going to come and hit me fairly soon. Okay, it's the light squares I'm going to try to come in on. I'm spending too much time thinking about these sorts of moves. No, I'm going to remove this piece. While it's not active yet, f5 is a possibility later, or even now, and I feel that not having the bishop here will make things easier for me in the longer term, or potentially open up some tactical opportunities. Yeah, I'll just consolidate on the light squares because rook f7 was a threat. Okay, but I've gone too slow so far, so knight at c2 is also a possibility here. Yeah, don't like how I'm playing this. It's too slow. Alright, 25 seconds left and I'm not happy with how I'm playing. I've got to make something happen. So I prefer pawn at f3 there, just to deny me of the opportunity to recapture. Oh, knight at g5. Do I need to look at that? I think I'm okay. I've got 16 seconds. It's very slim now. Okay, relying on the tactics now. So, rook at f1, rook at g2. Neither quite works. Don't quite have enough to mate yet, so I'm going to have to get some more ammunition. I've got 9 seconds left. I've got to use these pieces wisely. Okay, got another pawn in hand. Okay, close to finding mate now. Okay, plenty of queens. Alright, that looks like mate in one, so glad to finish that in the allotted time. Fishy Vishy. He's put JannLee. There's been comments. JannLee is killing it. Beast mode is on. He says, "I'm impressed. The man is playing, streaming, reading mails and chat and crushing everyone." Smash said, "Wow, Danny Walker's comment on JannLee's coach page made me cry." Okay, Pure Essence, another strong player here. He's also obliging by berserking. Okay, he normally plays Bishop C5. Maybe he's lost a few games there and he's trying something different. Pure Essence is one of the most aggressive players on the site. Got to have your guard up with him. He comes up with some very creative play. So definitely respecting my opponent here. I'm actually going to play h3 just to secure against knight g4 because I like my bishop here. It also secures against knight at h4, which is a possibility later. So with regards to my comment on my opponent being a strong attacker, I'm actually trying to prevent things from opening up. So here already he's found an open line. I can't recapture this way because bishop g5 completely undermines my position. So already a few things not really going exactly the way I want. Where I'm looking is his king. Basically simple. Rook at h8. How can I find a way to get a rook? He's making me uncomfortable here. Oh, that leaves bishop h3 open. Now I'm in all sorts of trouble this game. Bishop h3, king e1, knight h2, king d2, bishop g5 is horrible. He's forcing the issue with probably this f3 capture instead. I preferred bishop takes h3 for him. Yeah, so he's got a neat mate threat that's popped up now. Yeah, this all looks pretty ugly, guys. So knight h takes f3 is the immediate threat. I'm looking at knight at e4 as a way of stopping things. I think it's better to play knight at e6 because if I do that, there's a gap on f3 later on. Pawn at d2 is coming. Oh, that's mate. He's found mate where I haven't looked. So like I said, very strong attacker. Pure Essence, lovely game there. In fact, the way he played might be better than I thought. So I've dropped the first match, and I didn't leave much open. He just found a nice creative line of my king. So well done there. Okay, all good things have to come to an end, right? So that's probably the longest opening winning streak I've had so far with berserking everything, running straight to 56 points. Okay. So this is an early queen sack line where I'm looking for some practical chances, grabbing some material here. This looks new to me. I'm going to capture this one. Yeah, kind of like knight at g4 here. So I'm losing a fair bit of material, trying to get some counter attack going quickly. Bishop at e3. Now knight at g6 is a problem for me. So before going much further on the attack side, I actually do need to cover the threat knight at g6 because that makes queen at h8 really difficult to stop. In fact, I think here I've probably overextended with my sacrifices. Yeah, I've given away too much here. My opponent's played a fine game so far. So I'm at risk of getting mated now. So knight at g6 is sensible. Have to come out this way, possibly. Yeah, a bit of a loose game, I think. Grab h7. Bishop at g6, very dangerous now. Yeah, White's clearly winning this one. I've made a large number of mistakes. I think bishop at f5 is most accurate here. Or he might be letting me slip just a little bit. Bishop at f5 I think was mating. This might just let me sneak out. Might not. Time will tell. But if he allows me to, knight at g3 is a mated one. If he stops the checks, he's going to be in trouble. So he needs to keep harassing the king. I think knight at e7 looks quite reasonable as well. But knight at e7 now, I can play king h7. It still should be mating, but yeah. Yeah, he's got mate here, but I think the win should come in there. So queen g8's mating. So nice game from War Turtle there. So yeah, if I just give away pieces quickly, oh, he's taking a couple more moves here. If I just keep giving away pieces, I will find myself mated. It's a bit too loose there, but if anything, it's good to lose a couple games in a row in this arena, because then you get to you don't really get a deficit as much on your multiplier. So okay, let's have a look at the chat a little bit. Let's see, Smash and stuff. Smash giving Danny Walker a hard time about the nice compliments he's given me in the channel. I just think Danny Walker for a change is just showing what his true colours are, because he gives me a hard time every week. So that's fine. Don't have to give him a hard time for saying a few nice things. Okay, so 12-10 and I have played a couple of these sorts of opening lines. I'm just going to put the king on b1. That's a good move towards safety early. b5 is going to come in. Sure, that's okay. That's to be expected. Okay, so I've got the classic pawn roll versus pawn roll position. Now, with the pawn I've got here, I want to put that on h6 and start making some ground. I have given up a bishop here, but the king's still not in too bad a state. Knight at c4 is also blocked off. With a knight in hand now, I'm also looking at knight at c6. So I'm expecting something like a5 or a push down this side. Yeah, even that, I'm looking at if I can leave it. I'm just going to force the issue heavily here and just leave that. I'm going to sacrifice the queen quite liberally for another diagonal piece. And basically I'm saying, well, black's a long way behind in attack, and with the position closed, I'm going to be looking to attack on his side first. So I've got to use my pieces efficiently here. He's counter sacrifice one piece. Okay, I've given away too much again. So there's a risk I can give away too much. I'm also giving up too much time. Yeah, I'm going to have to bite the bullet and go for it. So really Black's play here is possibly best to just say, well, I think White's bluffing, and I'm going to take all the pieces with knight g7. Although a nice move could be bishop at f6. That's, yeah, not the kind of move I'd normally see. I'd normally just think of recapturing the knight and then king takes and g5. If he takes g7, I'll play bishop at f6 because the knight doesn't have a square to run to. And then after capturing this, I've got threads. So of course he can defend it with the bishop. Just putting a pawn on. I think he should defend with the bishop. Okay, this is happening now. This looks dangerous for him somehow. How to capitalize? I'm taking too much time. And I could possibly be mated if there's a tricky queen at b1. If I take with the rook, I'm mated because of rook at a2, knight at b4, and then recaptures follow. But he might have found mate anyway. Let's see how we go. Yeah, I suspect there's mate here. Yeah, there is. Let's defend here. Yeah, knight at c2, pawn at a2. So I have given away too much. Allowing queen takes c6 is a part I didn't see. So maybe I should have just tried to capture on g7. So okay, 3 losses in a row. But look, if you look at one of these events, a score like 100 is pretty good. So averaging 25 per half hour is a pretty good score. So we're up against Madsen now. So like I said, I'm prepared to take a few losses today, being reckless. Berserking the likes of 12-10 will yield that kind of result occasionally. So. Okay. So there's a comment about, you can play Bughouse on another site. Yeah, I've always played Bughouse on Fix. I've heard about chess.com. I gave it a try. I mean, it does leave something to be desired, I've got to say, playing on chess.com. It's not that easy to communicate with your partner. It's not that easy to find partners. As old and archaic as the original Telnet server like Fix is, when you put that together with the Thief interface, for the players, old and new, I still think Fix is the best place to play Bughouse. A website like chess.com will just have more reach. Okay, I'm going to pick off this pawn on g4 while I can. Knight f6 is a threat, threatening the queen. Otherwise, a move like knight at f4 would look really dangerous here. So let's try to catch up on the channel. Hercules just asked, he said, just out of interest, what do you do for a living? Let me get the next move on here first. I work with fast-moving consumer goods data. In America, you probably call it CPG, consumer packaged goods. So anything that scans out of a retailer, oh, that's a bit nasty. Anything that scans out of a retailer, I see. Yeah, don't like that move. That's a thorn in my side for sure. Nice move. Maybe I've castled into a storm here. Yeah, so things with barcodes on them. My company captures those, and we collect the data, and we redistribute that data to manufacturers of the product so they can track their sales. So Mats has played a brilliant move here, h5, which has just opened everything up, and black now stands much better here. I've kind of gone off the boil a little bit and just lost a ton of games. We'll see if I can lose this one as well. People talking about over the board bow as well. Things. Okay, I should probably also just stop looking at the channel. Channel chat. So my queen's got harassed off this g2 square. I'm looking to come at b6. So not at d6. We'll cover things off. Yeah, it's all looking pretty dangerous. Knight at e2. Yeah, I think I've just had a hot run this morning and forgotten how much of an advantage a Berserk is. So now starting to struggle against the field. I'm concerned about this h2 pawn here. That's why I'm covering it. He's letting this clock run low. He's trying to find a nice way to finish me off here. Oh, I should just take his knight with the bishop. Alright, really got a motor now. Okay, sense a small window of opportunity. Got to see if I can take it. I'm letting it slip though. Yeah, I think I could have done better than this. A bit disappointed. Alright, 4 losses in a row. Do I need to change something up? Pure Essence is catching me now. Upper Wisdom's on 41. What's going on? What's going on? 4 losses in a row. I don't think I've done that in the tournament before. I don't think I've started that well and then choked so badly at the same time. Okay, let's get back on track. Okay, killer plot. I'm still going to keep berserking. Okay, I don't know this opponent. Alright, c7 has to be covered. So I should be looking out to play c6, push this knight back. I don't mind bringing it here. And I'll reroute this knight to h5, because now I'm looking at, after f3 has been played, there's a potential weakness on that side. So my opponent stands a little better here just because his knight looks better than mine, but this knight will come in here with the gap now provided there. Yeah, I'm just going to cover f5. So both of us playing a pretty solid game so far. I'm going to renew the attacks on f4. And I'm nearly forcing him to play g3 here to hold on to things. So this knight has nowhere to go. So let's see where we go from here. Okay. I've got knight at h3 at the end of all of this. Oh, got to take this way first, or else queen e6. Alright, it's knight at h3, which is going to be critical. Alright, let's see if I can lose this one from here. It's very dangerous now. This is a large edge with the material being fairly balanced. So I'm just happy to pick off the queen. And because I don't have a knight, I need to just try to penetrate on the light squares. Yeah, I'll defend this way. Alright, we should have mate here. So pure essence now 54, 12:10, 42. We're into the second hour. Alright, back to winning. Okay. Okay, Apterigo. Alright, I've got to try to win this one to get the streak going again. So, yeah, there's a number of new names on the site. I mean, Apterigo is not one I'm familiar with, but I've seen before and seems to put up a good fight against a number of players. So it's great to see there's new talent coming on. Some of it could be from other sites, some of it could be just new players that are picking up the game and doing very well at it. So I think that's great for the game. That's still the fundamental goal for me, is to try to raise the profile of the game. Maybe rook e1 was better there. That's alright, e6 is a good weakness to hit. Yeah, so I've got a solid king here, but then I want to try to make a dent in his position. Yeah, I'm gonna try to get some initiative going. Oh, let's be careful here. No, I should have enough cover with the knight covering back here. Bishop's covering the squares that give check. I'll take this one. Okay, so king's still safe, but I haven't really made ground on his king. I need to win some material. So bishop trade wouldn't be bad. Then I can play bishop at b3. So meanwhile he's going to try to penetrate my king. Oh, I've left that open. Yeah, I just feel like I've been bleeding a little bit of material the last few moves. The queen at e6, bishop at f7 was just going to cover. I just need to try to keep things here. But I'm fast finding if you're not attacking, when you're doing this kind of berserk thing, then you just run short on time at the end. It's giving me a run for my money. Yeah, I'm big danger on the clock here. I think my opponent senses that. There's only one way to win this one. I'm not winning it on time, so I've got to try to win it on the board. Oh, he's left this open a little bit. Alright, happy to pick up a win there. So, let's try to get back on track. Got the multiply going, got pure essence at 12-10 chasing, so it's more like a regular week for me now, where I've got to fight very hard in the back half to stay ahead. Okay, I'm going to stay reckless. I'm going to keep pushing this. 12-10. Really should probably, if you're thinking of winning a tournament, you should probably think of not berserking a game like this. But I've berserked 100% so far, so why not? Let's keep going. Alright, I might comment a little bit less on this one though, so I can focus all my time and attention onto the moves happening on the board. So I'm looking at pawn at e2 here, or maybe pawn at g5 is better. I'll take that one instead. Maybe taking the bishop was better, slight move order difference. Bishop at f3 would have been on, but we'll settle for this instead. Now if queen takes f4, bishop at e5 wins a queen. I'm looking at some hot tactics here, trying to find mate out of nowhere. So yeah, let's grab this guy. And if there's a bluff to be called, 12-10 will call my bluff, don't you worry about that. I can feel he's being very cautious and choosing his moves carefully. So if f takes, rook at g2, king h1, knight at f2, that forces the win of the queen. That's a big threat on the king side. There's two mate threats to stop here. That's not easy. Knight at e7 check, king h7 is to be played. Yeah, so I'm making some ground here, despite berserking. I've only spent 17 seconds, he spent a lot longer, but see if a bit of tenacity can bring me back into the the streak mode. So yeah, I don't see a viable defense for white on the king side. It's probably more got to do with what kind of checks are available over here. Okay, so it begins, but I think the checks have run out here. Oh no, he's got this, so I've got to defend a little longer, it seems. So let's see if he's found some kind of mating sequence. I've got a lot of cover on these lines. He's had to sack pretty heavily. So he's got some opportunities. He's calculating very heavily here. Grabbing makes sense. Grabbing makes sense. Grabbing makes sense here too, possibly. I'll see if king c7 is a little bit better. Yeah, maybe king c7 is better. So I'm trying to run in a way that expends his pieces. So I'm looking at knight at c4, king a6, rook at a5, king b7. If he plays rook at a4 check, which is what he has played, let's play pawn at a5. Yeah, just pawn at a5. After king b7, he's only got pawn at a6. I've got king c8, and then he's only got bishop f5 or knight b6. So that'll solve my problems. So, yep, c8's my last square I've got against pawn a6, but the check should try it, yeah, so he's trying something a little bit different. Yeah, it's desperation now. There's clearly not enough mating material here. Yeah, so happy to take a win against 12-team there with another Berserk. But in the meantime, Pure Essence has pushed ahead of me. So yeah, disappointed about losing 4 in a row, particularly against, it seemed it was any opponent could be thrown my way. Alright, comments from the channel. Smash says giving up your entire increment when your Berserk is just too much. Lichess should rethink that. Maybe it's fair enough. I think the idea behind giving up the whole increment is to actually make the half time a true deficit, or else players can move much faster and recover it. Okay, so we're up against Daniel Deemy. He's played c3 last time. He's changed how he's playing this time. This time he's opened up the d file to open up the queen trade, and I'm obliging, and I'm gonna just basically try to call all bluffs, take all pieces, and defend accurately. So let's put the queen here. If pawn at e7, I'll have to take it with the king. So sure, white does have some initiative here, but it's certainly playable for black as well. I like this because it's going to be unfamiliar for both players, so we should get a good game out of this one. So against a capture, I'd take here. I don't mind leaving a hole on c7, because if he checks there, I'll play king c7. I'm prepared to defend sharply here if I need to. Queen at d5 threatening these two pieces, so that's a quick cover. And now I'm looking at moves like bishop at d5, bishop at c5, bishop at b5, things that will relieve the pressure on d6. That's where the black position needs help. Oh, okay. This move I didn't foresee though. So, keeping the captures going, staying out of the way of this check. I mean, rook e8 was also playable, perhaps. At this point, I want to get bishop at d5. It's a good multi-purpose move. Gives a bit of defense. Also provides a little bit of attack. So knight at h3 is already a direct mate threat. And if you look, my king was facing a barrage of checks before, but it's still relatively safe here. Yeah, I don't think he can allow that. That's going to be mate. Because the king can't run. Okay. Danny Walker says, it looks like he didn't know how to set up the starting position and mixed up the king and queen. That was his comment in my last game. Okay, got to try to keep my neck ahead. Looks like Pure Essence took a hit. It was Opal Wezen that took him down. We've got 37 minutes to go. Usually at this stage of a tournament, I'm trailing the leaders by a long way. So even though I've had this 4 losses, breaking my amazing streak at the start, I still feel I've ended up in a better position in the tournament overall. Okay, this is the second time I'm facing this today. Maybe the third time even. So I just played this game against 12 Teen. Okay. I'm going to try to take advantage of the pressure I have on f2 as quickly as I can. I'm not seeing this one before. Oh, he's allowed this. This is quite dangerous. King h1 is getting mated by knight at g3 here. And I feel like bishop f6 is trading a piece and also allowing black to activate a piece. And importantly, that's the queen. I feel like that's giving away a lot. I'm going to go this way. I want to save this square for the knight. So yeah, I feel like bishop f6 removed one of white's best defenders and given black more ammunition to fight with. Okay. From here, it's about cutting off the king. Main thing I'm looking at here is how do I stop the king getting to c1? If the king gets to c1, it'll get safe. So I played knight at f5 to put another attacker on e3, which allows for this check to block off c1. That's the critical move here. From here, though, it's mate in 1. So if king e1, rook at e1, if he blocks, queen e3. But the key there is acknowledging that c1 is a safe square for the white king. Alright, someone made a reference to Crazyhouse 960 in the channel. Yeah, I'd be a big fan of Crazyhouse 960. As if Crazyhouse isn't crazy enough. I mean, for me, it's more about just avoiding opening theory and putting 2 players into a set of rules that really have a lot of sharp tactics and force them to play. Okay, edgesy, so we're up against a double feed shadow. It's strange playing b6 and then not following up with bishop e7, because that now becomes a little bit of a gap which I'll look to exploit at some stage. So yeah, here I'm playing e5, either to get pawn at h6 or pawn at b7. The rook e8 means, and bishop d7 means this knight doesn't have any of its regular retreat squares. It can still come to h5. I may just play pawn at b7 to pick off the piece. Let's have a look here. Maybe pawn at f6 is more direct. So I'm just looking to knock very hard on weaknesses here. Pawn at g7 is natural, knight at h6 mate threat. If capture, it also frees the way for f6, so knight at f6 now becomes something else. But even here, just threatening to win the queen should seal things off fairly quickly. Alright. So it seems I can't do things in ones this morning. It looks like I have to have a streak of wins, and then a healthy streak of losses, and then a streak of wins. There was a question on whether Lee Chess is planning on adding Bughouse. Yeah, I think Lee Chess would be okay without Bughouse. It'd be great if they could add it, and they do it really well. But in terms of I'm just saying it doesn't need to be a knee-jerk reaction to chess.com putting Bughouse on their website. I prefer to see Crazyhouse 960 personally come out before Bughouse on Lee Chess, because that's a new original variant. Having said that, perhaps we also need to allow some time for the popularity of Crazyhouse to build itself, because that's only quite new to a lot of players as well. Anyway, it's good to think forward. So I might get up against Nikolai 10,000 here. We've got a standard e4, e5 position, but it's unfamiliar to me. He's played an early knight g5. Yeah, well, do I want to take that? I've got to figure out how to play against this as well. I'm taking a long time in this situation. I'm actually just concerned about f7 opening up too quick. So this is a very practical move, bishop takes h3. I'm actually just going to put pawn e6 there to cover off f5, just so my rooks are connected. It's actually a backward step. In nearly a sense, theoretically, this has to be wrong. But it's because I'm down on time and not seeing something better at the moment. I'm making a practical decision just to stay safe at the expense of a piece or a pawn, and I'll try to recover that. But at least I'm not losing on time or losing on the position immediately. So yeah, that's a fork. I was expecting bishop at g5 or bishop at h4. Yeah, we'll get that in. Maybe knight at g3 should have come first, but I should be alright coming in with this order as well. So I need to try to get active. So knight f1 is also a possibility. I haven't really given it enough consideration. Okay, I've got 29 seconds. I'm playing this game like a 3-minute match. I need to just go. I still don't have a clear attack on my opponent. In fact, I think White's probably still a little bit better here. So Hercules says, I hope this winning streak lasts another half hour. Yeah, I hope so too. That'd be good. Yeah. Oh, look, I'm feeling pretty good that I'm usually further back behind the field by now. Alright, I'm looking at rook at e2 to try to make something happen on his king side. Knight at f5 becomes a threat. In fact, I've nearly deliberately slipped in the queen f7 to encourage knight at h6 because I feel like the knights that I would receive in return would actually help my attack. Okay. I'm going to pick off his queen if he's going to allow it. Yeah, I'm going to give away that queen to try to get some attack going. I don't have much time left. Okay. I think he shouldn't be allowing that check. That's too deadly. Maybe he's not seen the pin, allowing knight at e3. Okay, the streak continues. It's like I need a I need a computer setting that says set win equals 1 or set win equals 0, and then we just play from there. Okay. Next pairing. Danny Walker asks, did you get into chess on your own? No, I did not. Sharkmeister. It was my father that introduced me to chess at a young age. I was only about 4 years old. Kind of age where you show a kid a rook and say it's a castle or it's a rook, and the kid will say, I remember this when I was shown a rook. I said, "Are you sure it's not a fountain? Because it looks like a fountain." So that was the first thing that we really had to establish what a rook was. But yeah, my dad, he was just he just knew how to play the rules. He'd never played a tournament, I expect. He just pretty much introduced me to the rules. I think at age 6, my parents realised, he's not too bad. Let's give him a go at a tournament. So that was back at age 6, and I think the first tournament they put me in was some under 18 event, and I scored. I think it was an 11-round tournament, maybe over 1 or 2 days, and I think I scored 6.5 out of 11, something like that. Got in the newspaper, and just remember playing competitive chess ever since. So that's my little story on how I came to learn chess. Represented my country when I was probably 10 years old, and was a junior champion of my country when I was 14. So I did a few World Junior Chess Championships, playing in my age division, and then I decided somewhere around age 20 that I wanted to pursue other things, and chess really wasn't interesting me at that stage. I'm just losing a few pieces here. I kind of felt I didn't really have the time or patience to study, and I felt that someone that just studied moves was outplaying me without even understanding elements of the game properly. which is probably a source of frustration. But you know, if you're lazy, then you can't have that kind of attitude. You've got to you can't just be talented and expect to do well. You've got to put the effort in. And I don't think I was prepared to put the effort into studying chess. This, on the other hand, was something that no one knew. I felt that this was a raw clash of talent. So this is where I've spent more of my time. It's just been with chess not being a profession for me, it's not been attractive to try to pursue it with all the study when, if I was to pursue chess, it would only be recreationally. So given it's all recreation, I've put it into Crazyhouse. And it hasn't really had traction till maybe more the latest year. So yeah, it's exciting times for me that more new players are coming on, picking up the game, finding interest in it. I've got myself into trouble here. So I like the way my opponent's played so far. He's just restricted my play. I'm going to try to make something out of nothing here, but I don't know how well that's going to work. I do need another piece. So rook at h8 is now a mate threat. So I did make something out of nothing in the end there. I think black was a lot stronger, but he's allowed me to slip in an attack. Should have definitely won with that time advantage on his side too. Smash says, damn, that was hot. Okay, Oppelwesen again. See, Oppelwesen's just a gentleman, so he's just going to say, well, you're berserking, I'm going to berserk as well. In fact, he finished one tournament, I remember, where I berserked the game and he didn't. He said, oh, something like, sorry, I thought, I can't remember which way it was. One of us berserked and one of us didn't. And he was nearly apologetic that he didn't follow suit. And I said, oh, you don't have to follow suit, that's okay. But yeah, we've got a bit of a quiet agreement now on the back of that, where it's kind of the white player should decide if we're berserking or not, and then that's a signal which then the black player can follow. So that's nice. So he finds nice tactics off of it. So he's seen there that my knight's trapped, so he's done this sack on d4, and I've kind of gone, well, okay, I'll let you trap my knight, but I'll just give it back. It's finding ways to get active. I should probably... No, we'll let it go. If knight d3 comes in, I should probably just trade it off, play knight at c6. I don't mind this. He's looking at bishop g4, so I want to try to encourage him to take f4 so that my knight's not in the way of this fork anymore. And meanwhile I start to get a little bit of pressure on this diagonal, so knight at c6 becomes something a little bit more attractive. He's seen that already. He knows what he's doing. Yeah. Better off trading that. So now these two pawns are hanging. I'm not making ground anywhere, and time's ticking. Okay. I feel like my king's a little bit safer than his, so I'm going to just try to create a bit of disruption on the king side, get this king off balance. Yeah, let's place this here. I don't mind losing this knight. F3's covered. I can patch that up again. As long as I'm giving something for him to think about his side of the board. So in a practical situation like this, where the clocks are running down, it's good to have the attacking pieces. So now that's through. Oh, nice. So I've just lost all my queens there. But this is very dangerous. So he had some nice tricks at the end there. He was checking me on the back rank because I was short on blockers. Something I think Berserking all of today has done as well is it's also forced me to just try to finish games in a shorter period of time. And that naturally makes you play a larger volume of games. So apart from the huge choke in the middle of this series, maybe it's not such a bad strategy. I mean, 3 minutes is quite a large starting time, so 1.5 minutes. There's a lot to play for in that. So it's not like I'm completely starved of time either. Okay, we got down the path bishop c5. Now the reason why this works is if knight e5, bishop f2, king f2, and there's either a fork with bishop at d4 or queen at d4 or queen d4. So takes, 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 queen d4, and then you've got a fork. Okay. So against this, I'd like to put pressure on the king. I feel like White's kind of done some odd strategic things. It's kind of blocked in himself with the bishop, and then also put the king off center too. Meanwhile, Black's getting some quite natural development. Yeah, knight f6 is natural. Yeah, I'm just going to defend my e5 pawn by replacing the queen here. Yeah, I'm just going to cover that one. So knight at c5 is now an option to hit here. So I'm expecting something like h3. No. I'll get knight at c5 in. I'll try to pick up this one. And if queen a7, you know, I'd be happy to castle to try to get out of the way of anything that's occurring on the back rank. Oh, but I've left pawn a7. That's a bit unfortunate. Yeah, I would have preferred pawn at e7 if I was white. So yeah, just looking for some direct attack opportunities on this king now. It will require the removal of this knight as well. Yeah, I'm just going to come in off the back. And you'll see that's a common theme where there's a rook on b1, you can just sack your queen here because you're going to get a new one. The threat of capturing this in rook c1 is too great. So now knight at a3, queen b1, knight b1, rook at c1, king d2, knight at e4 is mating. Yeah, so very tough for white from here. Okay. So just forcing the king back and then capturing the rook. Alright, there's a lot of chat that just happened here I've missed. Okay, and I've sailed to 102. So like I said, like I'm feeling like 100 points is possibly good enough to win a tournament of this time control. Let's see. Okay, well, let's try to remember to Berserk. We've got Matza now. So I think Matza took a win off me here. Let's try a different opening line. So I played the knight at e3 path. This time I'm going this way. Play quite actively. Yeah, we'll castle first. So this bishop will hang if I don't capture this knight first. And I could lose a pawn here, but then I'll figure I've got a development advantage. So this queen covers here, get another hit on the queen. Now I've got the development advantage, but I don't have anything in his half. So that's where I'd have to move very quickly to try to make something happen. He's trying to choose where he should put the queen. Now, he's actually decided he's going to part with it. He may try to counter-attack quite quickly. I'm going to part with that rook again. So here's where the flux of the game really changes, where such sacrifices become possible and become attractive to the players. I'm now basically trying to say, well, I've got one or two moves to really generate some threats around your king quickly. You'd probably have 3 or 4 moves to generate threats quickly here. And that's where the material balance doesn't matter as much, just as long as there's lots of pieces in flow. So it completely changes how the game works and how people look at material. In fact, it's one of the confusing elements, or the, if you're a new player looking at this, you're going, hang on, but I won pieces, and I didn't even really know if it was a place I should sacrifice or not. Yeah, so that's what I kind of say. If you get to a point where one player has a much safer king than the other, the player that's got the initiative just needs lots of pieces in hand. Doesn't really matter if the opponent has more pieces in hand. You just need pieces in flow. So we're up against War Turtles. So I played him earlier today and lost a match. Here's my chance to try to win one back. Okay, so already this is a fairly new kind of spot for myself. We've got a similar thing happening here where I find I'm giving up the queen early. Now which way should I capture here? No, I still like knight f5. So the only difference here is maybe white has one extra move relative to the game we played before. But yeah, if I'm going to play into stuff like this, I should, or rather, if I'm going to berserk, I should play stuff where I don't have to think as much. So given this is a little bit new, that's probably not ideal. So he's played this g6 move again. That's new to me. I'm going to go forward with a more practical approach this time. So I'm looking at pawn at g7 here, saying how can I exploit that? And maybe here it's too slow. Bishop at g3 is a possibility now. I don't have an actual check, so I'm even doing this to think of capturing the rook and promoting to a knight. We'll see if I actually have enough pieces to mate here. I may well have. So yeah, some creative stuff here. Yeah, this looks like mate. So king e8, knight at g7, king e6, bishop at f5, king e5, knight at f3. Absolutely just making it up on the run there. Lucked out a little bit that promoting to a knight supplied enough pieces. I don't know though if king e7 was the safest route. It's possible that there was a better path to play. So Opperwezen playing the Queen's Gambit now. So Opperwezen's great. He tries a whole lot of new things. He's new to the game. He's definitely come at the game from the chess side. When I say that, what I mean is a number of players have come from what I'd say the Bughouse side, meaning they may have been more of a fan of Bughouse first and learnt a lot of the tricks and tactics there, then gone to Crazyhouse. The other way is the people that have learnt chess first and become very good at that, and then gone towards Crazyhouse from there. And what I find is you get a very different style from the two types of players. Usually it's more grounded on tactics and material advantage for those that have come from the chess background, and for the ones that have come from the Bughouse background, it is a lot more tactical. Material gets thrown left, right, center. There's some really sharp checkmates that come in. I kind of like to think I've maybe come a little bit from both ways, and I think it's good having a bit of a balance. You need to kind of respect the material of the game as well as the volatility of the game. So here you can see Opperwezen's put his king out. I've placed a little bit of value on getting some initiative, and see he finds these nice tactics like knight at d6. That's to try to get himself out of dodge, so he's trying to trade knight for knight without trading the queens. But yeah, here I even don't mind if he plays knight at f6 and grabs the queen. Because I'll grab his queen and I won't be in any immediate danger. So knight at c5 covers off b7. And then when I'm ready I can cover off f6, make sure that doesn't threaten me. Yeah, I'm just not going to bite here. And now he's got two knights under attack, so he's definitely worse off and he's poor on the clock. So yeah, Opperwezen hasn't had a great tournament today. I mean, he can sometimes run away with it. I seldom see him go like this. I've had a very unusual tournament. It's pretty good overall, but I don't think I've ever lost 4 games in a row. So some new streaks in terms of both wins and losses. Okay, Pure Essence again. So he took a match off me in very nice fashion earlier this tournament. Oh, we've got a very aggressive line here. So another c3's come in. He's just looking to bash me up. So straight attacking. I'm going to try to take all the pieces and call all the bluffs. That's my game. I'm going to give back a bishop here. Yeah, we go to f8. I don't like this move. I thought pawn at d5 was a bit more sensible. But I'm not Pure Essence, and I'm down a game already. Alright, he's seen tactics with if I capture bishop at h6, king g8, pawn f7 takes, knight at e5, he takes the queen. So that's why I'm not taking his pawn, I'm just sidestepping. I'm trying to avoid stepping on f7 or d7, because if I can prove that I can hold on to this queen, then black is clearly better. So right, yeah, while it is impulsive to do a straight capture there, that's why it's been avoided. Okay, I've got to be careful here. rook here. Now, if rook f7, I won't want to take it because then he can play knight e5. I don't want to play king g8 because that gets made with knight h6, king h8, pawn g7. So I'm going to be sneaky and move here. Now if he plays knight at g7, he's expending his knight, so I can then capture that, and knight at e5 doesn't work. In all honesty, I'd probably be okay just capturing that rook, allowing him to capture and playing a game from there, but he does get a bit safer. So a little bit of finesse that game to just keep avoiding f7, d7. I quite like how I played that one to make it decisive sooner. Okay, Inokiro, we've got 3 minutes 38 left, and I've just gone 30 points ahead of Pure Essence, so I've absolutely smashed the tournament this week. Don't know why. I had very little chance to practice this week. I thought I was putting myself in some deep water trying to berserk every game. Okay, so this is familiar territory, so e4, e5 kind of play. Very balanced position. Nothing decisive yet for either side. I was trying to catch up on some chat. I've just been ignoring it a little bit. It's a nice move. Let's put a knight on here. I like bishop at g5. It's a good move. It actually helps black to progress just slightly in the position. And this one slightly more again. Yeah, I feel like black's making progress here. So he's just progressed this. He's just progressed this pawn 2 squares in a useful fashion. The only thing it does is it removes one defender off here, so I'm seeing if I can make something happen on g5 instead. But yeah, not really. Alright, let's just play practically. We've got we're playing in a tournament, and we've got 1 minute 42 left, so knight g5. Maybe I can get queen h5 in because this pawn's not here anymore. Smash says, does it seem like the ratings are going down a little bit? He said, Jan used to be 2,900 to 33,000. Opera was in 2017. Yeah, I've noticed a bit of rating deflation in general overall. Hercules says, I expect Jan will say it's just a number. It is just a number, by the way. Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, but they have noticeably been lower. I don't know if it's because a little while back the game was just starting and a lot of new players were coming in, and that affected the rating system in a different way. Yeah, whatever it is, I'm not too concerned about it. It's just good to see lots of people playing. Alright, I'm going to grab this guy. I'm going to get this check in to get the queen. I'm just 1 pawn short of mate. I might need to grab the queen. If I had another pawn, I could do a bishop at g7 sack, play knight h5, and play the checks. Oh, if he's going this way though, I might have mate. Knight h5, king g6, bishop h7. No, it's just short as well because he's got too much defense on g4. So yeah, I think time's going to run out before I get the mate down. So yeah, I'm not going to play the Crazyhouse Madness event today. I've got too much to catch up with on this weekend in terms of things to do around the home, and also things to do with work, which is unfortunate. I've queen f6, queen at h7 mates here, so I should have mate in 1. So I'm gonna stop it at the end of this game. Wow, Berserk rate 100%. I've never done that before. Got a very strong performance out of today. Not used to that. I'm normally trying to catch up. I'll just catch up on the last bits of channel chat here before I close the stream. So yeah, people are just talking about this deflation things. Yeah, I'm not going to go too much in that. I mean, Joe CRZX made a point. Yeah, usually the high ratings come from farming another high-rated player. But when you've got lots of new players in the game, maybe there's lots of new provisional ratings coming out that are higher, and then it settles itself later on. Smash asked something about a game. I'm not sure where he was talking about. A move rook takes d1 instead of knight takes d1. Okay. Smash says these kind of defensive games look like straight magic to me. Just more of this. Okay, so yeah, Hugo Whalen says, how old are you, Jan? I'm actually 31 just now. I've been playing this since I was about 14 or 15. There's been a question on whether I'm playing Crazyhouse Madness. No, I'm not going to play Crazyhouse Madness today. I don't have the time to do that. So yeah, I guess if anything to say, I do have a game of the week to catch up on soon. I'll soon be also trying to revive something like the cancer donations tin, because I'm going to do another event on 30th October. You may recall, if you've been watching the channel, I did a City to Surf event in August that was to raise funds for cancer. I'm doing another one, which is to raise funds for cancer in general. I'm going to double my distance, so this event, instead of being 14 kilometers, it's going to be 28 kilometers. So I think 14 kilometers is somewhere close to 8 or 9 miles, just to convert it for the Americans. So it'd be double the distance either way. So I am thinking of maybe doing it a different way this time. So it may be analysis games. I may be releasing a new series. It's going to be called Surprise Simul. So if you don't have the opportunity to play me in one of the weekly events, maybe it's too hard to get near the top, the Surprise Simul is going to be a new event where you might get the chance to play against me. So if you want to participate in that, definitely subscribe, because I'm not going to be able to tell when I have time to do it, because I'm quite time poor, but I will announce it on my channel, not long before I sense that I'm going to have an hour or something like that to spare. So if that's of interest, please make sure you subscribe, and hope to see you at Surprise Simul. That might be part of my next fundraising move. Other than that, thanks to all of you for joining this weekend. Hope you have a great Saturday, Sunday, wherever you are. And of course, I'll see you next week. So thanks for joining me.